just said now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
You know what happens in a plasma chamber?
Science stuff.
Diamonds. I'm Tom Osmond. Fincher & Osmond Jewelers carries artisan-created diamonds.
Earth and human safe.
And bigger. Lots bigger.
Fincher & Osmond diamonds from the mines or artisan-created diamonds.
They're all diamonds.
If you want to give her the big stuff, you've got to see these diamonds.
FincherandOsmond.com. A little tricky to find like Boulevard between Edgar's and local.
Crawford Insurance and Child Abuse Prevention Services presents the 28th Nightlight Golf Tournament at Tall Pines Golf Course Friday, August. Registration begins and tee-off is at 4. $25 per player or $500 for a team of 4. Early registration starts today. Go to www.capstuscaloosa.com or call 205-758-1159. The Crawford Insurance and Child Abuse Prevention Services 28th Annual Nightlight Golf Tournament is sponsored by Town Square Media, Buffalo Rock, Tony Brown of Precious Memories, and Michael McComb, Allstate Agency.
Trading values are at an all-time high here at Townsend Nissan. Yes, we have the biggest selection of new vehicles around. Armadas, Altimas, Sentras, Kicks, Muranos, Titans, and Frontier trucks. Townsend Nissan is where you, the consumer, is always number one. Now's the time for your next vehicle purchase, and Townsend Nissan is a dealership to buy from. With trade-in values at all-time high, finance rates at all-time low, come be a part of the Townsend Nissan family, where we've been selling cars the right way for over 30 years.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather. Partially sunny, warm, and humid today. A few scattered showers and thunderstorms are possible this afternoon and early tonight. The high today 90, tonight's low 70. Tomorrow, a mixture of clouds and sunshine with scattered showers and thunderstorms. The high 89. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 71 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at softmarkdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
All right, Martin, you're hot in 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Overflow Express Wash, Overflow Express Wash. You go check them out. They'll help you keep your car clean inside and out. Andy Phillips and his team has done a great job providing you a great family atmosphere and environment. And they have 2 locations, one in Northport, one in Tuscaloosa, to better serve you. Go to Overflow Express Wash and see all the great services that they have, great packages, and the basic wash starting at $7. All right, in the first quarter, we talked about the NFT market. Out into that non-fungible tokens, pretty much digital-based art/memorabilia when it comes to the sports world. Will that take off? Will that become the new a new pathway or revenue stream for the for the name, image, and likeness that we're getting ready to get into? Colin Sexton, rumored to be on the trade blocks. Will we see him reunited with LeBron James, or united with LeBron James in LA if he is able to get that trade? Or will he replace Ben Simmons and help Philadelphia 76ers get to a time in town for kickoff to his luau benefit kickoff for his foundation, and that. But most of all, big topic, Joe, name, image, and likeness will be reality on tomorrow, and a lot of questions around what this really means. Impact on name, image, and likeness. I asked you guys a couple questions, Joe. Who all participate?
Up and have Michaela kind of.
Do it now.
Michaela, you want to go? Or you want me to? Go ahead.
Do what now?
Go ahead. 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 We got Seth, myself, and McKaylin over here on the other
All
side,
right.
ready to play some.
All right, impact of name, image, and likeness on college football on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being slightly, 10 being mass disruption. And you can take it from any angle you want. You can take it from overall, you can take it from a standpoint, or you can talk about from the player standpoint, positive or negative.
I'm gonna go with the impact being about a 5.
Okay.
Personally, I think it's kind of right in the middle. I don't think it's maybe quite as game changing as, well, I mean it's pretty game changing, but I don't think it's quite as
Disruptive.
I don't think it will impact the game quite as much as like say for example playoff changes.
Okay.
But I mean I also think it's a little early to be able to tell if it's going to be a very disruptive thing to the game and a negative thing. Because I mean, at the moment, it seems like a not bad idea that these players who are infinitely famous can at least somewhat capitalize off of that. So I mean, we'll just have to. I think this time next year we'll have our idea, but I think it's going to be a couple years before we really know the true impact of this, positively or negatively.
Okay. Next.
I'll probably go higher than that. I think I'll go with a 7 or so. I think that I think it'll impact the game definitely, but I'm going to think that it'll impact it positively. I think the biggest issue hurting college football right now is a consolidation of talent in only a couple of places, and hopefully the name, image, and likeness will allow or will show college athletes that they can make money off their name, image, and likeness. Obviously you're going to make the most at Alabama or at Ohio State and those bigger schools, but you'll have an opportunity to make some money pretty much at other schools as well. So hopefully it will disperse the talent. But I'm also with Seth that it's going to take a while for it to really be impactful, because you're going to have to. It's going to be a couple of years before you see some of that top end talent maybe consider other schools. So it'll be a while before the impact starts rippling through college football.
Yeah, and before Michaela responds, Joe, think about this. What you just said is I think this may be one of the first rules that actually may help disperse some talent. Think about Nebraska. Even though Nebraska is not a big major TV market, you remember how, I know you're fairly young, but do you remember how popular Nebraska football used to be?
In the early 90s, it was one of the biggest programs in the country.
Right. So if I go there, even though Alabama's getting me to the league faster, more consistently, if I'm a top notch player at Nebraska, only guy in Nebraska, if I come to Alabama, you're gonna think this team. You're gonna have what, 4 or 5 guys fighting for that pool, and yeah, it's a bigger, more national brand. But I don't know that the national brands are gonna run in here for these regional teams as much as we think. Some will, but I think programs are gonna have an opportunity to convince top players that they can still get to the league because they're going to be the best player on their team, best player in the league, in their league, and they're not going to have to share as much. And I know that sounds bad, but you and I, in that sense, kind of feel like this thing may spread, be one of the first things that keep from accumulate. Michaela, you got any thoughts? Or Joe, you want to respond to that? I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, I think that you're exactly right. That you can go be the big fish in the let's say small pond of Nebraska,
right?
Or, wherever
it is, yeah.
Exactly, and you can make some money, and that will start dispersing the talent a little bit further.
All right, Michaela, you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, No, I agree with Sep and Joe earlier. I think it's good for the players, or I agree more with Sep, but it is going to take a long time for it to impact the sport. But I think it's good for the players. I would give it like a 4 out of 10. So
Yeah, well, and I tell you, you could take any angle. You know where I think the biggest thing is going to be, Joe, and the biggest disruptor, guys, coaches. Think about this. This is new for the players, right? And it's new for the coaches. But what else is new for the coaches just in the last year or so? They've had to adjust to the transfer portal. They've had to adjust to I call it the get out of jail free card. And now they're going to have name, image, and likeness on top of it. And they're having to learn to manage all of these things. And I think immediately they are frustrated. Even though they may be happy about it, even though they may be pro player, etc. Think about how much the coaching profession has changed, Joe. And I don't think it's going to impact the Dabo Sweeney and underage, but think about just in college football, how many coaches, Joe, and guys of major programs lie between, say, Dabo Sweeney's age and Nick Saban's age right now? When you start thinking about the major programs out there, there's not a lot left. And I think those guys, I would not be surprised if they don't take the route of Urban Meyer, retire and see if they can go somewhere else or get out of here. I think that's where you're going to see probably as much frustration. I think the players will take it in stride, and it will have minimal impact there. But I think it's going to separate and maybe even force a few guys out. Any thoughts, comments on that?
Well, I think I think that will be an impact. There will be coaches who aren't going to want to deal with it. But I don't really have much sympathy. I look up at what their paychecks are as a majority. No, not everyone's making Nick Saban and Dabo Sweeney money, but most of them are making pretty healthy salaries.
Joe,
I think that.
Hey, you and I on the same boat. Hey, when you can go to Vanderbilt or Ole Miss and win 6 games a year and make $4 million, if you were great now at 55 to 60% at your job, would you be still employed?
I'd be fired.
Right.
I'd be fired. I wouldn't have to be fired buyout.
Right. And so you're I'm not feeling any sympathy for any of the guys in terms of what they be the impact. I just think you could see that. Go ahead.
Well, no, you're exactly right. I do think that there will be coaches that aren't going to want to deal with it, and coaches that maybe will choose not to try to understand it, because it's basically going to be up to the coaches to try to understand the ins and outs of name, image, and likeness. You'll have coaches like Nick Saban who will understand that it's here to stay, and that he needs to understand it to make the most out of it. And so it'll be really up to the coaches whether they choose to embrace and understand the change or not. And if they don't, then I think they're going to see themselves on the side of the frustrated coin, and that might ultimately end up seeing guys move out of the profession.
Well, here's do you think there's any coincidence to Nick Saban naming the program what he named it? I think he's communicating to us how he feels about name, image, and likeness. The advantage. I mean, Nick Saban does nothing by coincidence. In Alabama, and it's not just Nick Saban, this is the entire University of Alabama, they're going the advantage. They know what that brand means and stands for, and they know that it's going to, if you come to Alabama, that script A is going to give you an advantage when it comes to name, image, and likeness. On the other side, we won't get into all of the details of this, but there is a release out that has a lot of FAQs as well as some information for players. We're going to look into that, talk about some of those things, and of course that conversation will continue on into the week, but we'll start that conversation on some specifics of advantage and what's the stay tuned on the other side, and I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Tide 9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, everything pretty quiet on the roadways as we crank up our Wednesday drive. Now, of course, if you do see conditions throughout the morning, then folks, give us a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan has a tremendous selection of brand new cars, trucks, and SUVs, and they really want your trade. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Do you remember a time that you would go to the drive-in movie theater and have a blast as a kid? You can pass on the experience to a new generation every Saturday at dusk at Government Plaza. We are showing a movie in the park on a 30-plus foot screen. Our next movie is Home Alone. We have food vendors on site. This is your chance to bring out the kids and enjoy a family-friendly event, and it's free thanks to our sponsors, Pepsi, Bryant Bank, Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports, Burnham Pond Exterminators, First Kids Urgent Care, the City of Tuscaloosa, and Town Square Media. Join us Saturday, July 3rd at Government Plaza.
The great Gap sale started at Gap Factory and GapFactory.com. Shop styles up to 75% off, plus long weekend deals including flip-flops from $3, tees and tanks from $6, dresses from $12, and more. Shop it all through July 5th at Gap Factory and GapFactory.com.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our Pep Talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, Martin, you're hot in 3, 2, 1. Pat's on hold.
All right, let's get back into the conversation. We got Pat on hold. We got a couple questions to get to, so we may just take the specifics of the advantage and roll that out, that conversation on tomorrow as it goes live. So let's first of all get to Pat, see what he has to say, and then we'll make a determination on where we go next. So Wildcard Wednesday, so let's see where Pat wants to take things. Good morning, Pat. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Martin. Let's stay on task with what you're doing. The advantage, the biggest advantage is Nick Saban. Nick Saban is as close to being a Fab Four in one as anybody in the country as far as college football goes. Would you not agree with that?
I don't know what you're asking in terms of the advantage, what he's created, or in terms of him.
What is Nick Saban is a rock star.
Right.
I said he's as close to being the Fab Four, the Beatles, as any one person in the country in college football.
Right. So let me ask you this. Let me play devil's advocate. If you come to Alabama, who's always going to be the biggest star at Alabama? Nick Saban or a player?
Depends on if you arch Manny. We'll see.
But you see what I'm saying, Pat?
Yeah, absolutely. But the biggest advantage is that in the Southeastern Conference, it just means more. And the Alabama fan base is so rabid in comparison to the rest of the country. You realize that 65 students at Ohio State, I wouldn't dare. I would venture to guess that 30,000 of them don't even know there's a football game on Saturday.
well, are we?
I got you to laugh at.
Are we as rabid a fan base as other schools, or we just win more than other schools?
We win, but just like you were talking about Nebraska, I got a good friend of mine that had Wheaties boxes. Nebraska, when they got back-to-backs, got a Wheaties box. I want a three-peat so we can get a Wheaties box too. I need one for my showcase stuff.
Yeah.
And if we get a three-peat, we will get a Wheaties box.
Well, I mean,
go back to when you were younger, a Wheaties box was important.
To get on the Wheaties box meant you had arrived.
You had arrived, exactly that.
Yeah.
Like being on the cover of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Hey, we get a three-peat, we might even get on the cover of the Rolling Stones.
Pat, have we won our second one yet?
Hey, look, I promise you it's coming, buddy.
You already talking? You're talking three-peat. We hadn't repeated yet.
Next repeat is in his term at Alabama. Hey,
I'm talking about to get to a current three-peat, you got to repeat.
Yeah, hey, it's coming, man. I promise you.
So
hey,
you're
we not last year go through the toughest schedule that college football's ever seen. Yes or no?
On the helmets, yes. I don't know that it's the toughest as far as teams. I don't know that COVID did not nullify some of those games as far as it being SEC. It was the toughest SEC schedule in terms of number of teams, but I don't know that the 2020 SEC would have fared very well against some of those earlier SEC teams from times past when Nick Saban was battling out.
Yeah, well, maybe say, but we didn't have, there was no cupcakes on that schedule. And I promise you this, that name, image, and likeness, this time next year, I guarantee you the Southeastern Conference has made, if there was any way of tracking it, which I doubt it's going to be, but if there was any way to track it, name, image, and likeness, that Alabama, not Alabama, but the Southeastern Conference is tenfold over each other conference.
Well, hey, Pat, I'm going to let you go, but I can tell you Alabama is going to have a way to track theirs, so I'm assuming that the other SEC schools will implement similar formats, and we'll talk more about Alabama has a way to keep track of all of their athletes and the way they're telling them. Now, just like anything else, when there were no benefits or extra benefits and players went outside of that window and still got stuff, that may still happen to some degree, but Alabama does have a method of tracking. They actually have a system that the players log into, and these players will have to sign contracts for the endorsement side. As far as the YouTube social media side, they may not have to sign for that. I got another caller, Pat, so I'm gonna let you go.
I got you.
Have a good one. All right, Robert from Mobile, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir? Still there?
Bama fan base, that's a lot of them.
Repeat that, Robert. I didn't hear the beginning. Repeat that.
Oh, okay. I mean, Pat's not the only one who says that among the Alabama fan base about this. Guaranteed a repeat that Alabama's supposed to do this year. I was like, okay, yeah, I understand you guys are enthusiastic about the season, but don't you think there's a lot of pressure Bryce Young and the team.
Yeah.
You have to repeat, or you. Well, I know they're not saying this, but the idea is you have to repeat.
Yeah.
Really? Can we lower our expectations a bit? You know, you lost 3 of the best players in Alabama history, and you want this team to repeat?
Bryce Young may have as much talent on paper as anyone that's played quarterback at Alabama in recent years, but he definitely has the I think from an experience standpoint, the least that any quarterback has ever ran out there with.
Yeah, and again, we've said this in the past. Part of that's Sarkisian's fault. You could have got him in a lot sooner than you did on some of those games.
I agree.
Scratching our heads as to why that didn't happen a bit sooner in that Auburn game or LSU game.
It's that I still think it's that Nick Saban mentality. NFL quarterbacks don't come out. I mean, Alabama, we have had opportunities to have plenty of depth in numerous spots that we miss an opportunity to develop. But it's kind of, but Nick Saban seems to plug and play. So you would typically complain about that, except for the results don't seem to bear out what my problem is. My problem is you don't get enough depth. But then I say they're the most deep team. We always end up saying they're the most deep team in the country. So I don't know how he does it, but maybe it's because they actually practice real football and practice it in Tuscaloosa and hit and tackle. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
You know, my expectation for this next season is, okay, great, a championship would be great, you know, but I'm not looking for Bryce Young to beat Mac Jones's stats, at least definitely not this season. It's like, it'd be, man, if you can do it, that'd be fine, outstanding. But that's not my expectation. So it means, okay, if you don't pass 4,500 yards, if it's 3,500, okay, that's still a great season. It's not 4,500 what Mac Jones did, but I wasn't expecting you to do that. If you actually do it, then wow, man, you exceeded my expectation.
Robert? Which one is likely to go down the most? Not from a straight point standpoint, but percentage standpoint. Is our offensive production likely to have as bigger percentage drop, or our points per game?
That's a good one, because both of them almost go hand in hand.
Yeah, because
I'd say the points per game.
Yeah, because we're saying defensively we're supposed to be better, right?
Yeah.
And we're saying offensively we're supposed to not be as good. And so just from a percentage standpoint, I was thinking about that the other day. Will we drop into that? You know, we were 19.4 last year, top in SEC, top 15 in the country. What's going to be viewed as better? Does he have to get? From a defense standpoint, do we need to get down to 17 points per game to be improved?
17 or less. Definitely 17 or less.
So, and I'm gonna go back and you said 17, so I'm gonna go back and figure up later what that percentage would be, Robert, and then how many points we need to average offensively for it to drop more on offense, because percentage wise, that's probably going to be a touchdown less, maybe I think we were 48.5 or something like that. So we average around 42, something like that, maybe.
Yeah. You're talking about points per game on offense?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking all-time greats. We had 3 of them on that team that just were. I can say you lose 3 all-time greats and put out the same numbers the next season. It would just. I mean, because Nick Saban can do it, and it's possible, but it's hard to go from there. I said we could probably go down, to closer to, which with our defense, 40 points a game is more than enough to win your national championship. Can produce that.
Right, we don't have to be as good offensively this year if our defense does what it's supposed to. Hey, Robert, I have to get the break here so I can get done on the other side. You got any other closing thoughts or remarks before I let you go?
Oh yeah, real quick. You talking my language with math and statistics, and man, that just gets me worked up. Name, image, and likeness. Again, the only thing, my biggest problem with that is that with the different states having their own different little rules, that could make it very complicated. I definitely think that name, image, and likeness should happen a long time ago. The only people that can earn money off their name, image, and likeness in the world is a college athlete. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so the different states rules, that could be a problem though. All right, buddy.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we'll talk more about that, Robert. Maybe we'll get to that conversation on tomorrow. Will that be what makes it disruptive? The fact that there's no consistency across the country, or will the NCAA and college football survive and thrive through it? Coming back on the other side, we'll catch up with Scotty Hollins, Johnson & Marshall Dentistry, Christian Moment of the Week up next. And remember, while you're out looking, shopping, desiring to accomplish and attain that dream home, then Alabama One can help you with a great mortgage and or help you refi so you can remodel and rejuvenate that existing home. Up to $2,000 cash back, as well as no fees, no administrative fees. Great service. Check them out, alabama1.org. And then to make sure it's properly insured, check out alabama1insurance.com. We'll review your coverages, reduce your premium, and you can relax, know you're properly covered. Coming back on the other side, Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, traffic moving well on a good-looking Wednesday morning. No wrecks, and if you do see conditions, please give us a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan has a tremendous selection of new cars, trucks, and SUVs. Go see them because they really want your trade. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread. Good morning. Luther Watkins Jr. was indicted in December 2019 for the shooting death of TPD investigator Dornell Cousette. In January last year, prosecutors announced they would seek the death penalty against the 21-year-old. Yesterday, he was in court due to 2 defense motions, according to Chief District Attorney Paula Whitley, who expects more motions. No trial date has been set. And Tuscaloosa Republican State Representative Bill Poole wants to replace retiring North Alabama Representative Mac McCutcheon as House Speaker. I'm Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
The Alabama football countdown clock is driven by Crawford Insurance, Tuscaloosa's low-cost auto insurer. Call 752-6489 for a free quote today.
Roll Tide!
There are 66 days until Alabama football.
How hard can it be to find a Python pro?
Sam's startup had a front-end developer walk out the back door. He needs a new software engineer stat.
What do you mean they just quit? We go live in 72 hours.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, Martin, you're hot in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show, and we're able to do this because of the great folks over at, like I said, going to break at Alabama One Insurance. We'll review your coverages, reduce your premium, and you can relax knowing you're properly covered. AlabamaOneInsurance.com. Thank you so much for giving us a chance to earn your business. It's now time for our Johnson & Marshall Dentistry Christian Moment of the Week with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Martin, I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing great. I toss it to you to encourage us how we can incorporate our faith into our boardroom, classroom, or our chosen field of play, sir.
Absolutely. We're going to continue with our series, Compassion for Those Around Us That Leads to Action. I'll say it again. Compassion for those around us that leads to action. We've been looking at the life of Paul and looking at Acts 26, where Paul shares his personal testimony with King Agrippa, and just really looking at the fact that Paul was really in a place of extreme vulnerability. King Agrippa had the power to pretty much end Paul's life, and so Paul has been arrested for telling people about Jesus, and now he has the opportunity to kind of tell King Agrippa whatever he needs to tell him to get off the hook, to kind of get out of there and maybe go preach the gospel some more, you know. But Paul has such great compassion, even for King Agrippa, that he cannot not tell his story. You hear that? You have the double negative. He cannot not tell his story. And so here we go with Paul, and he's saying, and I think this was Paul's mindset. For Paul, the greatest gift that God could ever give him was a relationship with God. You follow me? And so for Paul, the greatest gift that he could ever give anyone else, you guys hear me say this all the time, is to introduce them to the opportunity to have a relationship with God. And so Paul takes this opportunity to share his story. He basically shares his story with 4 points. As I share this, I'm also giving you a little testimony training. If you have never shared your testimony and you're a Christian, you've never shared your story of how you became a Christian, here's 4 quick points of how you can tell someone that, and it's straight from Paul. You tell them your life before Christ. You know, what was your life like before Christ? How did you become aware of your need for Christ? How and when did you become a Christian? And how has Christ changed your life? And so right now we see Paul, and Paul is actually again beginning with his life before Christ, and he basically tells them, he's telling the guy, because he's like, King Agrippa, now listen, you can ask anybody around who I am, but I'm the guy who was actually killing Christians. I was persecuting Christians. I was more zealous about kind of what you're about. I was more passionate about it than you are right now. So I was a guy who was literally killing Christians. I was a Pharisee of like the best of that. I was the he said my pedigree was top notch. But number one, he was saying I was opposed to this Christ. Second thing he says is how he became aware of his need for Christ. He says essentially Jesus appeared to him and asked him, hey man, why are you persecuting my people? And he's like, hold up, my bad. I thought that this was just a hoax, if you will. But now that I know that you're real, point number 3, he surrenders his life to Christ, and he begins to go and preach the message of Christ. Finally, we see Paul having a little just exchange with Agrippa, and actually Agrippa had invited another guy, Festus, to be a part of this conversation. And Festus says, hey, Paul, you're going crazy, man. You study too much. You have lost your mind. And Paul says, you know what? King Agrippa knows that none of this stuff happened on the rock. Jesus died on the cross. This is not a secret. We're trying to figure out what we really believe about Jesus. But, everybody knows that he really actually died on the cross. So then he says, hey, by the way, Festus, I'm not even talking to you, really. I'm talking to King Agrippa. So, but finally, King Agrippa gets it. He's like, hold up. Are you trying to convert me? Like, are you trying to make me like you? And then Paul says, I wish you were like me, absolutely, except for these chains. I say that, and then next thing we see is Paul getting sent to season. So one thing I want us to see here is Paul was willing to risk his life because of the compassion he had for King Agrippa, who could have literally killed him. And so I want to encourage us to have compassion for those around us that leads to action, and maybe that action will be sharing your personal testimony.
Yeah, and I would say a lesson I learned from Highlands Church last 2 weeks is honor others more highly than yourself, or think more highly of others. And if you do that, then you can stand the way Paul did. Thanks, Scotty. Tell them where they can find you real quick.
Absolutely. You can find me at www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. You can send me a message there on my website and come straight to my email.
All right. Thank you so much. That's Scotty Hollins. Thanks to Joe and Seth and the company and the team there. And we appreciate you guys so much for what you do on the other side of the glass to make this show possible. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, viewers, and followers. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be talking more about name, image, and likeness. It will be official in the state of Alabama and 6 others. And we'll talk about that and what the advantage means for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And we'll also have recruiting with Hank South, 247 Sports. Roll Tide and ruin this. Trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide.